What might be a fundamental question we have been wondering for thousands of years in order to provide the answer that we have essentially been looking for in science? Said specific question might arise to: does the brain formulate consciousness, or does consciousness formulate the brain? At this particular moment, in the iron body analysis, what might iron be in its nature? A metal, which at the cellular level, if a metal is present, allowing for said consciousness or energy to essentially bind or conduct at the cellular level. Based on the conducting of said electricity known as your life energy, you might find the body processes in its cellular generation of, from the moment of fertilization, the division of cells is according to the iron content being formulated within the actual cell division. The moment fertilization occurs, which is once again a point of fusion. The mixing of the content found within the sperm and within the egg results in an iron formulation. At said iron formulation, you find the initial iron atom, that the iron atom then formulates life from, resulting in cellular division. Specific cellular division now occurs in the development of said being, which up until the moment of birth, which now the being known as a life form comes out. It exits the internal world where it is continuously generating its iron from an internal external source, and then changes the perspective by specifically creating its iron from an external source in an internal way, known as your body. The moment you exit the womb, the particular child or infant must now be developed within an iron content. Iron allows for the development and growth of life. Without iron, nothing formulates into a life force in the universe. Iron is the key element responsible for life to occur. In order for life to occur, there needs to be oxygen. In order for oxygen to create said life, you need to bind said life to a oxygen and iron molecule. The iron is the central port from which you may find electricity, or the abiogenetic process of said initial enzyme of energy, which itself stems from a central point in space. From nothing, from the darkness, we may formulate energy, light. And at this particular scientific teaching, once again raising the question, does the brain formulate consciousness, or does consciousness formulate the being, resulting in the brain, resulting in the entire body's process? Ultimately, in the abiogenetic process, we find that said enzyme of consciousness, energy, originating from a outer source of space, which in order for said outer source of energy from space to essentially formulate into a life force, essentially your soul descends from outer space to a habitable oxygen environment, which in said environment of oxygen, you find at the key point of fertilization where the iron formulates its first atom according to the particular sperm and egg cell material binding together, resulting in a singular iron atom, which then divides itself from its central rib. The initial divide, you can imagine, you could see a cellular division specifically from this portion. At the point of the light, which is present within my room here, you might see a concave and a convex, which the convexing of this light is the torus energy field. In said torus energy field, the initial cell division finishes essentially by finishing at the rib of the sphere of said cell. From this particular moment, you then arise to cellular division, the formulation and evolution of the life force and the body, resulting in a being. Ultimately, you find one particular factor at iron. In its conductive process as a metal, in its property, you find it has the ability to conduct, which by conducting from a abiogenetic energy source, you arrive at once the first initial point of iron formulates itself at the first atom, the moment of fertilization, said enzyme binds to the atom, which in the binding of the enzyme to the atom, you then create the point of fusion, that which allows for life to occur, binding a soul to the body. And in the cell development, what ultimately do these cells result in? A body. Regardless of the life force, regardless of the life form, iron is present at all particular life experiences. And according to the levels iron formulates itself, according to the particular abiogenetic source, that which radiates, as you could say, from which said arc, two of everything may be radiated to a particular habitable space with an oxygen environment within an atmosphere. And within said atmosphere, the oxygen content, ultimately, in order for life to occur, the oxygen has to bind to said initial atom, which from the abiogenetic binding resulting in fertilization, the moment the atom molecule or atom first formulates itself, oxygen then allows for the development of reproduction of cells. In binding atoms, or specifically oxygen, to the iron molecule, you then find that cells keep repeating and repeating division, which in your cellular rejuvenation, in your cells, you might find throughout your life, cells die and cells are reborn. And this is essentially caused once again by the process of iron. Thank you.